So today we'll start with the new things. Okay. So, okay. So today we'll see these communication methods, we can say, right? We have few communication methods. Okay. LAN, or even before that, PAN, LAN, CAN, MAN, WAN, SAN. Okay. These are some communication methods. It means whenever two users communicate, okay. So sometimes we call that network, that area is a PAN, sometimes LAN, and so on, sometimes SAN. Okay. Now, what is LAN? What is PAN? PAN is your personal area network. LAN is your local area network. CAN is your campus area network. MAN is your metropolitan area network. WAN is your wide area network. Okay. And then finally, SAN is your storage area network. Do you have any idea on these methods? What exactly these are?
I've seen only like LAN or WAN. That's a local area network, wide area network before. The rest I haven't come across.
Okay. So, in all these methods, right, two user communicate. Now, when we say a PAN, personal area network, right? So let's say we open a hotspot and then few users connect to each other and they can communicate to each other, definitely. Okay. So any user connecting via a hotspot, okay, and is having a range of, let's say, I think 10 meter. Okay. That is called as PAN, personal area network. Okay. Now, local area network. LAN is something two users communicate via, let's say, switch. Okay. And the communication is limited to one floor or one multiple floors, we can say, in a single building. That is something your LAN, local area network. But you see, in these both cases, two users are doing the communication. Okay. When we say CAN, campus area network, it means we have the college campuses, we have the hospital campuses, and numbers of things we do have, right? So a communication, now here we can have the switches, we can have the routers, okay? But the communication within 5 kilometer, that is called as campus area network, okay? But again, in this case also, two users are doing the communication. Metropolitan area network, till basically within city, right? Till 10 kilometer, that is metropolitan area network. Okay, so within a metro city, if two users are doing the communication, that is called as MAN. Okay, WAN is something more than 10 kilometer or between different geolocations. Let's say between two different city, between two different countries, right? That is called as WAN. Now, what is the common thing here? Any idea? Or what exactly is defining these PAN, LAN, CAN, MAN, WAN?
Two people communicating?
Yeah, the area they are trying to cover, right? Only
Yeah.
that's a main part here, right? So
Yeah.
if I talk about the pan, that's a 10 meter. If I talk about the land, single floor, multiple floors. If I talk about the can, within 5 kilometer, man, more than 5 till 10 kilometer, van is something different geolocation also, right? So the common thing is here the area. Okay. So in both cases, in all these cases, two users are doing the communication depending on the area we are trying to segregate the network, right? Cool. Now, when we say SAN is a storage area network. The moment we talk about the SAN, it is something, let's say there's a DC. Okay, that's a shared DC. Now, what happens? Let's say you have your own company, right? Now you want to have few routers, few storage servers, and numbers of things, right? Now, what you will do, you will go to a DC, right? And you will buy one rack over there, you will rent one rack over there, and you will put your devices, right? So that single rack, or let's say you purchase the multiple rack, you purchase two rack, five rack, 10 rack. So the communication within those rack, within a single DC is called as storage area network. Got it? So this covers basically,
So
we,
one DC on the devices on one rack.
yes. Let's
Okay.
say you're owning a company. Now you go to a DC, right, to rent, let's say one rack or maybe two rack or maybe three rack. So whatever rack you rent from the DC, right? So the communication within those racks, right, that is called as storage area network, SAN. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any confusion in these things?
Uh, no confusion.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. This we did. Now let us talk about the cables. Okay. So first of all, the cable we use is basically Cat6 cable. Okay. Now there are two types of cable. Okay. Um, Sometimes we use Ethernet cable, sometimes we use fiber cable. Okay. So Cat6 comes under the Ethernet cable. Okay. Now, let's say you are using a device. Okay. Let's say one interface is there. If that interface speed is 10 MB, you will be using Ethernet interface, or we can say Ethernet cable. If the speed is 100 MB, right? So you will be using Ethernet cable. If the speed is 1 GB, you can use Ethernet and you can use fiber also that time. Okay. Then when you go to 10 GB, we only use then fiber cables. If we go to 100 gig, again, fiber cables. If we let's say go to 1 TB, we only use fiber cables. Okay. So starting from 10 to 1 GB, yes, we can use Ethernet cable. And then starting from again 1 GB to n numbers of things, right? You have to use actually the fiber cables because Cat6 cable does not have that much capability to flow the data. Okay. Now, in the fiber cable, there are two types of cable. One is single mode, one is multi mode. Okay. Single mode and multi mode. The moment we talk about the single mode, right? Okay. It is something, sometimes even we get the connection at home, the fiber connection, right? Sometimes in the companies we get, right? Companies mostly they get, right? Even nowadays, a home network, right? ISP or the broadband ISP, right? They actually use the fiber cables till your home, and then further you connect via the Wi-Fi. Okay. So Single mode we use for the long distance, and multi-mode we use for the short distance. Okay, so that's a kind of mode we have in the fiber cables. If you're using single mode fiber cable, right, you can use for the long distance. If you're using the multi-mode fiber cable, right, you can use for the short distance only. Now, when you talk about the Cat6 cable, that comes under Ethernet property, right? And under Cat6, what we do have few parameters, kind of colors we can say. Okay. Now, one thing we did yesterday, right? RX and TX. Okay. So in the Cat6 cable, total how many pairs we have? Four pairs we have. It means total eight cable we have inside that, right? Out of those eight pair or out of these four pair, two pairs are used only for communication. Okay. Two pairs are basically used for the PoE, power over Ethernet. It means, but that time you need to buy a PoE switch. Otherwise, you can't use the functionality of PoE. Okay. It is like, let's say you do have an IP phone, right? You don't want to give external power. So what you can do? Using Ethernet cable, you can give external power to the IP phone. Same like sometimes you use WPS, right? I don't want to give a external power to that, right? So what I can do via Ethernet, via those rest two pair pins, right? I can give a power. Okay. Now what are those pins? So here we use 1, 2, 3, and 6. Rest 4, 5, 7, 8. We use for the PoE. Okay. So even let's say you have your computer, you have your laptop, and then you connect via the Ethernet cable to your laptop, right? And if you cut down those 4, 5, 7, 8 cable, okay, you will be able to access internet. There's no harm. Because for the internet, only 1, 2, 3, and 6, these four pins are responsible for your traffic. Okay. Not these 4, 5, and 7, and 8. Now, so here we use some color coding. Okay. But like the moment we start using these cables, right, we connect the complete cable. It is not like we cut down the cables, we don't need it, right? So just for general purpose, we use it every single cable we use. Okay. Now, what are the color codings we use? So first of all, in the cables, right, we use some naming. Okay. Let's say some standard we have fixed and standards. Let's say um okay, let it take a different way. Let's say we use two switches. I want to connect two switches. I want to connect switch and router. So in both cases, I cannot really use single cable, or we can say same type of cable. Okay. So there are few categories of the cables, not categories basically. This is what we build actually. I'll show you how to build that. Okay. But if I connect a switch to switch, then we use cross cable. If I use switch to router, then we use straight cable. If let's say we use router to router, then we use cross cable. Same, a PC to a router, we use cross cable. And PC to a switch, we use straight cable. Now, what is the main difference here? What exactly these things are making like, okay, this time I have to use cross cable or a straight cable, right? So switches works at which layer? Layer 2. Router and PCs works at which layer? Layer 3. So if you're trying to connect two same layer devices, in that condition, you use cross cable. If you start using a different layer combination, you want to connect two devices, but those works on a different layer, that time you use the straight cable. Okay. So if you get the question in your exam, right? In your exam, so that time you have to answer in this way. If both belongs to same layer, yes, cross cable you will be using. If both belongs to different layer, that time you need to use the straight cable. But the truth is, nowadays all the devices are smart. Okay, they automatically converge these things. If by mistake you connect the cross cable to the different layer devices, that is okay. They automatically converge this. If you use straight cable for this combination, they automatically converge it. Right now, what exactly they converge? First of all, any doubt till this point?
No doubts.
Okay. Now we were talking about RX and TX. So assume layer 2 devices 1, 2, 3, and 6. All the layer 2 devices are using 1 and 2 for the RX, 3 and 6 for the TX. Now, if I do have the same layer 2 device, 1, 2, 3, and 6, first two will be RX, second two will be TX. And if I'm using a router, 1, 2, 3, and 6, these will act as a TX, this will act as RX. Okay. Now you see, this is layer 2, this is layer 2, and this is layer 3. Okay. If I want to connect layer 2 to layer 2, then RX has to be connected to TX and TX has to connect to RX. Okay. If I want to connect layer 2 to layer 3, RX has to connect to TX, TX has to connect to RX. That's why we are saying here is if both are the same layer devices, we have to use cross cable. If both are different layer devices, we have to use straight cable because you see, pin number 1 goes to pin number 1, pin number 2 goes to pin number 2 because RX and TX, RX and TX, then TX, RX, TX, RX, right? That's why here we are saying straight cable and here we are saying the cross cable. This is input only for the exam because in the previous devices, right, the legacy devices, right, we were having this concept actually, but nowadays the devices are smart. They automatically converge which pin has to be RX, which pin has to be TX. If by mistake you use the straight cable here, layer 2 within the same layer device, right? They automatically reconverge. They will say, okay, by mistake you connected 1 to 1, RX to RX. Let me convert this to TX now. Okay. So they automatically change these codings as per the type of the cable you are trying to connect. Okay. But in the exam, you have to answer in this way only. Okay. Because technically this is true. This is basically kind of real concept we do have. But in the live network, you can connect any cable. But in the exam, if you get, you have to answer in this way. Okay.
Okay, please explain this again. So basically, RX is 1 and 2 pins, TX is 3 and 6. So if you're connecting RX, you need to connect it to TX.
Oh, always. Yeah, correct. Because you see, 1, 2, 3, and 6. 1, 2, 3, and 6. Both are, let's say, RX. Both are TX. Both are RX. Both are TX. Then you have to connect 1 to 3 and 2 to 6. Same here, 3 to 1 and 6 to 2, right?
Okay.
Because if you send, they has to receive. If you are
Yeah,
receiving, they are sending. That's why. Got it?
got it.
Yeah. So this is how you have to answer in your exam. But in the live network, right, you can use any combination that doesn't matter because whatever devices we use nowadays, those are the smart devices. Okay,
Okay.
cool. Now, so there are two types of color coding, 568A, 568B. If at both end, let's say we have one cable. Here, if you use 568A color coding, and here, if you use 568A or BB, that becomes a straight cable. Okay. If you use 568A and 568B, basically one end is 568A, one end is basically your 568B. that becomes your cross cable. Okay. So now we need to learn the colors. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. Okay. Now that's the 568A. Even I remember only 568A. Okay, I really don't know what like this is how I don't know what 568B, but you can get it. How? 1, 2, 3, and 6. Just remember one flow. Okay, the other one you will get by using this formula 1, 2, 3, and 6. Replace 1 with 3, 3 with 1, 2 with 6, 6 with 2. Okay, so 1 and 3. Green, white, orange, white. 2 and 6. Green, orange. That's it. Then blue will as it is, blue white will as it is, brown white will be as it is, and brown will be as it is. Okay, because these are for the power, right? So we can directly use the same steps. That is okay. There's no change in these cables. Okay, but yes, here we have a change. Okay, so now we have the color coding of 568A and the 568B also, right? So this is how we use. So in the exam, I have not seen anything like they ask for the color codings, but it's better if you learn one of them. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, these color codings we use. So and one more, I think. No, yeah. So these different types of interfaces you will find on the devices, maybe on the switch, maybe on the routers. It is not like a single, every single device will have all these ports available. No, in the network, let's say if you have a switch, you will, okay, console port will be available on the switch, on the router. Every single device will have the console port. Ethernet port depend on your hardware model. If you are using the low end devices or even the mid end devices, right? Yes, you will be getting the Ethernet cable. But if you use the high end devices, ASR devices, right, the ISP devices, you will only see the fiber ports. Okay, that time. Oh, I did not mention inner fiber ports. So, and then we have the MGMT port. In the high end devices, you will get the MGMT port if I talk about the normal switches, normal routers, right, from the Cisco, no, we do not see the management port. Aux port you will find only on the router. Okay. On the switches, you will never find the aux port, or maybe other devices you will not find. Okay. And HA port is something like, how to explain HA port? Let's say you want to have a backup device in your network where what do you want to do if the first device goes down? You want your second device take over the role exactly at the same time without any failure, right? That is basically HA, high availability. Okay. At the same time, we use two devices. Okay, I'll explain one by one. This is just overview. USB is something to install the NOS, to take a backup, to restore a backup or something, right? Serial port is basically for the data transfer. Stack port is something, I'll explain. Okay, fiber is again fiber. Now, let us start from the console port. So I'll first of all show you some pictures of the console port, right? So you can easily identify the console port of any of the devices. Okay, that is again a kind of RJ45. So let me just put down here the information. Console port is used to connect the device console. It means the very first access to the box is the console port access. Okay. Let's say you buy a switch, you buy a router from the market, right? You want to do the configuration and numbers of things you want to do. Initially, to do the very first start of configuration, you have to connect to the console port and then only you can take the access. Okay. So let me show you the console port. Yeah. This is how you will see the console port, and even you will see the line of some naming over there. That's a console port. So this is your console port. And if you see here, aux port, that's very similar port, right? RJ45 port, but both works in a different way. Okay. So this is your console. This is your aux, right? Console is only used to get the device access. Okay. Via the CLI. Now, how we connect actually? Okay. So let me check one diagram. Here also, if you see this one, we have the console port available, right? Aux port available. You will see the line definitely over there, what that port is. Here, if you see console port, okay. So let me show you something different. Yeah. This cable, this is called as your console cable. Okay. This cable we use to get the device access. So one end, if you see, that is RJ45 that we use to connect to the router, connect to the switches, right? So initially we use that port to the device level. Come back. 1 minute. Yeah. So initially what we do, we use that port to connect to the router. Okay. And then finally, you see connect to laptop, DB9 connector. That's a I think 9-pin connector. Yeah, DB9 9-pin connector, right? That we use actually to connect to the computer or to laptop. But nowadays in the laptop, we do not see the DB9 connector, right? That is called as serial port. So nowadays we do not see. Then what we do? How do we connect to the laptop, right? If you see the computer, yes, on the computer, we have these ports available, the serial port available, right? We can access. But how to connect to the laptop, because in the laptop we only have the USB ports. So there's one converter that we use. So if you see this one, yeah, this picture is more clear. If you see this one, first of all, what we have here, console port to DB9 connector. Okay. And then further from DB9 to that is actually connected to USB. So that's a converter that we are using to convert the signals from serial to USB. So whenever in your laptop you want to connect a router, you want to access the router or a switches, right? You have to connect in this way. It means what you need to have, you need to have one console cable and one converter, serial to USB converter. Then only you can access and you can connect your laptop to your router. Okay. And how actually we get the access? Um, I do have one router. So maybe in the next class or maybe the moment we access the devices, okay, that time I'll show you how to do that. Okay. Now, any confusion till this point on the console port? If you have any doubt around the console port, you can ask.
No questions.
Awesome. Okay. Now, let us talk about the aux port. That is kind of similar from the console port. Okay. In the console, let's say, let's say you do have one switch, second switch, third switch, fourth switch, and you do have your laptop here. Okay. Let's say you want to access device number one. What you will do? You will connect the converter, then you will connect the console cable here. Perfect, no worries. Now let's say you want to configure the aux port. Sorry, you want to configure the device number two. What you will do? You will disconnect the cable from here and then you will connect to here. Again, you want to connect to device three now. You will detach the cable from here and will attach on this one and same on this way, right? Now you see, we are detaching the cable, attaching the cable to the other device, right? Okay, fine. But now, here in this picture, aux port can be utilized, but aux port you will always find on the routers. It is not available on the switches, always on the routers. Okay, it means aux port functionality you can use only on the routers. So, that is also used to connect the device console. There's slight different. We directly do not connect the aux cable. Never. 1 minute. Okay. Now, the moment we talk about the aux port, it is something, let's say, I'll convert this a little bit. Okay. Aux port make it very easy actually. Okay. Now what I'll do, let's say the console port here and the aux port here assume. Oh, sorry, console here and take it aux. Console, aux, console, aux, console, aux. Fine. Connect your console to aux, aux to console. This is how we connect. Now, the moment we connect the console port here, on this screen, I will get actually what? I will get the access of device number one. Fine. It means right now we are accessing device number one. From my device itself, if I access my aux port, I will actually get the access of device number two. Okay. Now we are here. From here, if I will access my own aux port, I will go inside device number three. And same here from the device number three, if I'll access this aux port, right, I will get access to my another device. So you see, same thing is happening. On the laptop, what we do, we access our serial port actually. The moment we access our serial port, we get the access of this console actually. Same here, what we are doing. From here, if I access this port, I'll get the access of this port. Got it? So this is how we can use the aux port functionality. Any confusion, any doubt in this aux port?
So you use the aux port to link several routers together.
Exactly correct. Right. And one
Okay.
by one, you can go to the last router even.
Okay.
You cannot jump. But nowadays, we do not use because what happens actually, nowadays, what we do, only first time we use console port. Then further, what we do generally, Even first time we access the devices via console port only to configure one layer 3 management IP. That's it. The moment we configure the layer 3 management IP, then the complete configuration we do via the SSH, telnet, or any remote method. Okay, got it?
Oh, say that again.
Yeah, okay. Look here. Console port and the aux port. Okay, aux port, console port. Nowadays, we only use the very first time, only first time. Let's say I purchase the box, okay, and we purchase box and I want to connect the device to my infra. So that time, what we do generally, we use the aux port for the first time only, just to configure the IP address on the device. The moment
Okay.
we configure IP address on the device, further in future, we only use the management IP to get the access remotely. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah, it means console port is a one-time use only nowadays. So that's why no one use aux port. Okay, no one,
Okay.
because that is not required now. Because in future, if you come and you want to access, you know the device is holding one IP address, let's say 1.1.1.1.1. You can do a remote session, right? You can access via remotely to this IP address, and at the same time, you can have 4 different remote sessions for each device. That's what we do nowadays, right?
So it's all wireless now.
Yes, correct. No,
Okay.
even if that is not wireless, we can't say wireless, right? Let's say the devices are connected in your infra, right? So you will connect via the wired. But the thing is, you connect via the remote method. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that can be wireless, that can be a wired, right? But we had the discussion. Right now in the world, the complete internet is depending on the wired connection, right? Yeah. So any confusion in the console port, in the aux
So
port?
why would you need to connect four routers together in this situation?
Ah, oh, okay, again, earlier we were using that, but nowadays we do not use, because you see, let's say I want to configure multiple routers, right? And I am not having the aux port. Then what I need to do, I need to deattach the cable, attach to second router, deattach it, attach to third. Now I want to configure again the first router. I have to deattach from here and I have to. It means you see what we are doing. The moment I
Yes.
need to configure other router, I need to deattach the cables, right? So
Okay.
aux port allow us to use a single console to go to multiple routers, right? Got it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Now, Ethernet port we use for the data transfer. So in the Ethernet, you can get a speed of 10 MB, you can get a speed of 100 MB, you can get a speed of 1 GB also. Okay. Fiber ports also we use for the data transfer, and starting from 1 GB to n numbers. 1 GB, 10 GB, 100 GB, 400, 800 GB ports. Okay. What is MGMT port now? Okay. This is a MGMT port is a kind of pre-built layer 3 interface. You see what I was talking about in the console port, in the aux port, like the nowadays what we do only for the first time we access the boxes, okay? And then what happens actually, we configure IP address and then remotely we configure it. Fine. But MGMT port, right? Now the new vendors, if I talk about the Palo Alto, firewall vendors, the security vendors, or the load balancer vendors, even the Cisco routers, on the new devices, on the high-end devices, what they do, they allow you to have or to connect to the MGMT port. It means now those devices, not every devices, very specific devices, will have a pre-configured layer 3 interface. Okay, pre-configured layer 3 interface, it means what you can do, you can directly just plug a cable to the device and then you can access via the network. It means in the old devices, or the device that does not have the management port, what we were doing, we were connecting console port, then we were trying to configure IP address to do it to access it remotely, right? But few devices will have pre-built MGMT port. That's a L3 port available for remote access. So let me try to show you. Yeah, you see net management, right? Sorry. Well, let me open the clear image. Yeah, this is more clear. You see MGMT. Okay. Now this MGMT is something your pre-configured layer 3 interface. Pre-configured. It means this will have pre-configured IP address. You just need to connect a cable to your network, live the device, and then wire remotely you can access. It means it will wipe out your first step also via the console cable. So that time you do not really need a console cable to connect to the device. You can directly plug your device to the network and then you can take the access. That's the main difference between management and the console port. Got it? So management port is a pre-configured layer 3 interface from the vendor side to get our remote access. It means no need to connect to the console cable, just connect your device in the network and then access it. Okay.
Okay,
Any
so let's say I wanted to connect with my laptop.
sorry, come again.
Let's say I wanted to connect to a device, let's say a router with my laptop, right? Oh, you say
Okay.
higher level devices have it, routers don't have it.
Which port?
The management port
Okay. So not all the devices, few
have it.
devices will have MGMT port available. Okay. Very few devices. So what do we do? That's a RJ45. You see, that's a RJ45 connector, right? So what you can do, you can directly connect a laptop, let's say laptop, assume, not even network, right? Connect your Ethernet cable to this port and then just access via the IP address. That's it. Very simple. Okay. And that will have a pre-configured IP address. So configure the same IP address range in your laptop and then you can access it. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the
What do you
question
mean? What do you mean configure the same IP address on my laptop?
same range IP address. Let's say this interface by default have 192.168.1.1. Then you will configure 192.168.1.2 or something, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the range has to be same, correct?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Now, sometimes in the exam, you will get the question on a device, if we do have MGMT port available and the console port available, now do we really need the console port? What do you think?
If we have the MGMT port and the console port, do we really need the console port?
Yeah.
There has to be a reason why it's there.
Okay. Okay. So what do you think?
Is it possible for the management ports to be damaged?
Exactly. Damaged basically. Very good observation. Let's say you have your laptop. Okay. And let's say you are trying to connect via the remote applications. That is okay. But if let's say your device NOS gets faulty, assume your device NOS crashes. So that time, what happens actually? That application will never work because that application is over top of your NOS. And now that is crashed. What do you have to do now? You have to go to the laptop, you have to see the screen, you have to reinstall the NOS, right? Correct? Same here. If there is any NOS behavior, let's say there are some issues in the NOS, some crash in the NOS, then your console port will help you out. Okay.
Okay.
Because console port is something, that give you the access to the CLI directly. It means what is happening on the device, you will be able to see. Okay. But the MGMT port will only be available if the NOS is up and running, the device is up and running. Got it? Just like in the laptop, right? What we see, let's say we connect a computer, we connect a screen to my laptop or to my, let's say, computer, right? And let's say that is in the BIOS setup, that is in the, let's say, in the boot mode, right? NOS is not there, that is in the boot mode, that is in the BIOS mode. So that is not the NOS, that's a real, we can say, um real, what we call it, like, console, we can say, right? It means whatever is happening on the device right now, I can see on my screen. That's a console access actually. Okay. It means whatever is happening, I want to see that. That's it. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah. So console is something that give you the full access. Even if the device is rebooting, you can see the logs. You can see the what is happening on the device. Okay. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have any example in the live network how we use it. Mm. Okay, even on the phone or anything, right? The moment we shut down the device, we open the device, right? We turn it on, we see the logos, we see if you pre-checks something, right? Those are the real logs. It means even before starting any application, let's say using any application, I want to access your phone. I can access, that is okay. But if I reboot your box, if I reboot your phone, first of all, I will lose the access to your phone, right? Remotely, definitely. But on, let's say, the phone you are using right now, okay, you will be able to see every single activity that is restarting, that is shutting down, that is now turning on, right? That's a console access actually. Got it? The real access of the device, you will be able to see everything what is happening on the device without any layer 3 connectivity, without any connectivity. You'll be able to see that. Got it?
Okay.
That's console access. Sometimes, okay, have you done um a factory reset to a phone, not by the application, by the when we boot the phone, right? We use few keys, maybe the up volume key, then
Yeah,
uh
I did that in the past with the
okay,
old
yeah,
iPhone.
yeah. And then what we get few lines over there, few things over there. That is actually the console access. Okay.
Okay.
Even if your device is not running, you'll be able to see what is happening on the box without any real functionality, right? Same here. A console pod is something that give you the very clear view of the box, what is running in the background and what is happening. Logs, any boot up, your device is rebooting, you'll be able to see everything. But the MGMT port will only be available if the device is up and running without any issues. Okay.
Okay.
So if the device runs into a issue, right? No, you using MGMT port, you can't access because right now the device is down. That time only console port can help you out. Okay. Okay. The moment like we will discuss few more things, right? You'll be able to correlate that time. Okay.
Okay. So that's Sophos box in the photo. That's a router. Or
That's a firewall. So first firewall. If I go back, that's a Sophos firewall. Sophos firewall. Okay. Got it. There are too many vendors. They for the firewall, for the load balancer, SD-WAN.
okay.
Yeah.
So the firewall is an actual physical device.
Yes.
Okay.
All these are whenever you talk about these things. Okay, SD-WAN is something is a controller only. Okay. So once you start learning SD-WAN concept, right, you will see the devices also, but few are the controllers only, like a software only. Okay. But when we talk about the firewall, Palo Alto firewall, Sophos firewall, Cisco ASA, routers, switches, all these are physical hardware. Okay. load balancer, F5 load balancer, that is also hardware. So I quickly show you. This is how that F5 load balancer looks like, right? So that is also a physical box. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions till this point? Any doubt you do have?
No questions. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. And by the time once I show you these console access and the MGMT access, right, you will be able to make it very clear difference, okay, between these things. Now, what is HA port? Let's say, let me draw a design. Let's say you do have one router, you do have one more router, and your ISP is here. Let's say ISP1 and one more ISP connection, you are having ISP2 just for the backup purpose. If one ISP goes down, then my traffic should go via the ISP2. Fine. And multiple users. Then what you do, you connect like this. Okay. So your primary device will be via this way. You want this router should be your primary and this device should be your secondary. It means if router 1 or ISP1 goes down, then the traffic should move back to the router 2 and the ISP2. Then how we can achieve it? By using HA. HA is your high availability, right? So if HA port is not available, we use those Ethernet ports. If high availability port is available, then we directly use that. Okay. So assume if we don't have the HA ports, then I'll be using the LAN interfaces to configure that feature. Okay. But if these devices are having the HA port available, then I'll connect that back to back. It means using HA port, I'll connect both devices. And now they will take care of this concept. It means one device will be active at point of time, right? And if that goes down or that goes down, this device will be active and will be available for the complete traffic. That is called high availability. Okay. Or we can say redundancy. Got it?
Okay, so how many HA ports can device have?
Sorry, come again. How many?
Yeah.
How many backup device we can have? Is that so?
How many HA ports does one device have?
Ah, um, sometimes you will see one HA port, sometimes you will see two HA port. But when you see two HA port, one HA port will be using just for your active and standby. One HA port will be using for your basically to check the device is available or not. Okay. So let me show you quickly. Yeah, you see HA1A, HA1B, right? So there on this box, there are two HA port available, right? One port they will be using for the real HA management, and one port they will be using for the kind of ping pong, just to check the reachability, the device is up and running or not, or to share the session information, basically some load of the device. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But what we do, we use two devices at a time in the HA functionality. Okay.
Okay.
But okay, Cisco, without using even HA port, Cisco allow us to use four devices at the same time. Active, 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 active. It means four devices you can connect to the network. Like right now, I can see two devices. Cisco allow us to use four devices, and all four devices will be active at the same time. And let's say if we have 100 users, so 25 will go by the first router, 25 will go by the second router, and so on. Okay.
Okay.
So in future, yes, we have that protocol in our curriculum. We will learn that actually. But yes,
Okay.
HA port is something whenever you want to have a backup device. So using HA port, HA dedicated port we connect. If we don't have the dedicated port, right? we connect the data ports to achieve the same connectivity. Okay.
You say if you don't have the HA port, what do? You connect
Via the data ports,
data ports. Okay.
Ethernet ports, basically. Whatever interfaces you are using for the data transfer, the same ports you can use for the HA also. Okay. Yeah. Now you okay. Let's take a small break and then we'll start. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Shall we start? Let me know once you're back.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, okay. So, console is clear, Ethernet is clear, MGMT, aux, HA, fiber. Now, what is USB? USB is something kind of, look, whenever I want to install a new NOS, let's say the device now does not have a NOS available, right? That time we use the USB stick to connect to the USB port and then we install the NOS, right? So this is again a pure USB port. Now you see this USB, right? Just like this, you will see more USB ports available on the routers, okay? So I'll show you the router directly. Yeah, you see the USB ports. Okay. So these are used to basically take a backup to basically install the NOS and n numbers of things. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a normal USB, the one we have on the laptop also. Exactly same USB and same functionality. Just like on the laptop also we use USB 2. Now let's say I don't have any NOS installed on my laptop. Then we connect the USB. While installing NOS, we choose via USB and then it install the NOS. Exactly same thing. Okay. Exactly same thing. No change.
Okay.
So USB is used to connect USB stick for NOS installation, or we can say backup of the configuration or
What do you mean when you say NOS, NOS, network?
oh yeah, network operating system. Yes, your operating system like Windows 7 is a NOS, network operating system, right? That's a only we can say operating system. When we say network operating system is basically router NOS, right? If we have the router image, let's say router operating system, right? That we call as a network operating system. Okay,
Okay.
NOS. Yeah. On the Windows, we do not say NOS. That's a OS only. Okay, operating system, not the network operating system. Now, serial port, first of all, you will find only on the routers. This port you will never find on the switches, never. Okay. These are also the data ports, but with a very low speed, 1.54 Mbps. Okay. So these ports, first of all, you will only find between routers. Okay. Only in the Cisco router, you will see the serial ports, but nowadays once you get the new devices, you do not see the serial ports, right? But on the old devices, yes, you will have the chance to see the serial port. But serial port can only connect to one. It means basically your point-to-point connection. So for the point-to-point connections, we use the serial port. Okay. But that has a very low speed. That is 1.54 Mbps. Now let me quickly show you the serial port. Okay. Yeah, this is how you will see the serial 0, serial 1. And this is the cable that you use to connect only routers. First of all, you will find only between route on the router, not on the switches, never. Okay. And we connect router to another router, that's it. But that has a very low speed, that is 1.54 Mbps. And whenever you see these things, these are basically your serial port to connect another router. That's it. Okay. So nowadays we use high speed devices. So this 1.54 Mbps interface you will never find. Maybe in the legacy devices you will see these ports available. Okay. Is that clear? If you have any confusion, any doubt, or any
You need
question.
to connect, how would you need to connect router to router using the serial port?
No, now what is you are asking?
You said the serial port is only on the routers, right?
Only
It's
on the
low,
router.
and you use it to connect router to router.
Only.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, now if we ask why router to router only, right? So sometimes, let's say, I want to shift the connection. I want to basically, or again, these are very low speed interfaces. So earlier, right, in the old devices, we were having these ports available, but nowadays we do not use these ports. Okay, never. Because we don't want like these 1.5 for Mbps speed. No, I don't want that, right, in my network. Correct? Okay. Any confusion, any doubt till this point? All good?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, good.
okay. Now the next port is the stack port. Okay. What exactly this is? Stack is something. Okay. In the HA, what I was doing basically, we were having two physical device and two physical brain also, right? Once this device goes down, this device will take over the role. Agree?
Yeah.
Now, first of all, the stack ports we always get on the switches. Okay, always. There is a kind of concept we have why on the switches. I'll draw a diagram and we'll try to explain this part. So the moment we use, or okay, I'll tell you the requirement first of all. Okay, assume I do have switch number one, I do have switch number two, I do have switch number three, and I do have switch number four. All these are having, let's say, 16 ports available, 16 ports available, 16 ports available, 16 ports available. And right now, the users, the host I'm using, first of all, I hope that is clear. Whenever we connect the users, the host to the devices, the very first device will be the switch, right? On the switches, we connect the PCs. Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say we have around 50 users, assume. Okay, 16, 16, 16. Okay, 48, assume. Okay. Now, if we do have the 48 users, right? Then I have to first of all again 16 users here, then 16 users here, and then. And now, if I want to manage them, I need to access one by one all the switches. Let's say I want to do something, some configuration changes for these users, some configuration changes for these users, and so on. I need to log in one by one to the devices, right? Even in the future, whenever I want to do some more changes, I have to check the switch first of all to which switch those users are connected, and then I have to do the changes. Agree? So that is
Yeah.
something manual process we do have right now. By using stack, let's say, first of all, stack is something all the switches does not support. We have a special series of the stack switches. Okay. We connect via the stack, let's say, this stack cable to this stack, this stack cable to this stack, this stack cable to this stack. Okay. Now what happens? Physically, they are different. By using stack cables, what they do actually, they will treat a single brain. It means if let's say this is active device in out of these things in the stack, if you connect the console port, actually you will see single nose, but with how many ports available? 48 ports available. It means physically they are different, but logically there will be a single switch now, a single brain. Okay. It means if you want to do some changes here, here, and here also, right? Just access your main device and you will be having the list of 48 interfaces. Got it?
Okay.
That is called as stacking.
It's used to connect the switches together.
Yes, exactly. Just to have a single brain so that the network engineer will have only single CLI to do the changes on the network. Okay. Yeah. So let me show you the stack switches also. Okay, sometimes we can use data ports also. There are few protocols that we can use to use data ports directly to achieve the same stacking. Okay, there are a few things available. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Now, you see four switches in the stack, right? Switch one is having connection to switch four, to switch two also, switch two is having to three, switch three to switch four, and back to back, right? These are stack interfaces basically. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So using these stack interfaces, they will have a single brain. They have the four different switches, but brain will be single, right? It means the moment you access your first device, your active device, and you can choose which device will be active device. You can choose that actually. Okay. And then you access the active device. Okay. And then further, you will see, let's say this device has 16 ports, 16, 16, 16. Then on a single CLI, then you will see 48 ports available. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how we use stacking. Okay. And this is really useful. In the industry, we use stacking. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the cases we use stacking. Single brain, but with multiple physical devices. So this is just to enhance the hardware capability, we can say, right? Okay. So any confusion out of these ports, just check one by one all these 9 ports and let me know if you do have any single doubt, anything.
So let me do a rerun. So console port is used to connect directly to the console of the device. It's usually found on routers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Console port is basically will be available on the router and switches both. Console port, sorry. Yeah.
Ethernet port, they all have it. It's
All
used
the
for
devices. Yeah.
management port is only on the level 3 devices.
Yeah.
Only
Only
one.
kind of high-end devices, not on all the devices. Let's say you purchase a high-end devices, a very, let's say for the
So
ISP.
the high-end router,
Yeah, exactly. Correct.
the
Correct.
high-end devices. Okay. Um, and the backup for the management port is the console port.
Yeah,
Aux ports, you use it to connect routers together.
exactly correct.
Okay. The HA port, high availability port, you use it to connect two devices to the internet. So like backup devices, basically.
Yeah. So basically, um, primary
Backup
backup
access
for
to the
yeah,
internet.
primary backup for your network. Correct.
Family backup for network. Then USB ports, general USB ports, data transfer for NOS, installation of NOS, and
Yes.
for backup of NOS,
Yes.
taking
Correct.
backup of NOS. The serial port is for router to router connection. It's low speed.
Yes. Very low speed. Correct. But nowadays we do not
The
see these ports available.
stack port is used to connect switches, make them into a single brain.
Exactly correct. Yeah.
The fiber port is for high speed data transfer.
Yeah. Basically data transfer, right? But with a very high speed.
High
Right.
speed.
Yeah. And this is how on the stacking you can get a question what stack is used for. Then you'll get questions like answers like to have a single brain to enhance the hardware resources, right? So you will have multiple choice over there. Okay. So in general, if I just explain the stack interfaces, right? We use stack to basically enhance the hardware resources, right? And to have a single brain. So in the exam, there are chances you will get two options also to select. It is not like always one option you have to choose. There are chances you will get few questions where you have to choose multiple answers. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure till this point everything is clear. Everything is very like
Yeah.
transparent.
Yeah.
Awesome.